What's up everyone? In this video we're going to be getting the kitchen all fixed up, and then we are going to head down to the basement and get the first coat of primer done. So make sure you stay tuned to see how everything goes, because I got a few tips and tricks throughout that might help you on your next project. So now I jumped over to working on the cabinets because it is really time to finish the kitchen now at this point. So I'm doing the final sand, and then I had to get the end pieces on for the section over by the window. I'll kind of explain that here in a second, but I'm doing a lot of sanding just to make sure everything's ready for the polyurethane to go on, and then we're pretty much gonna be done in the kitchen besides a little bit of caulk and some door handles up top. So a lot of what I was sanding was these sections right here. Now I didn't have the right color for the wood filler, so I ended up just using a red to try and blend it and make it look as good as I could. And I think it blends in just good enough to where you're not really gonna see it unless you're looking super closely. And then same right there. I think once the polyurethane's on there, it is going to hide it completely. It's gonna give it a little bit tint, and then it'll make it look a lot better. Now in these corners here, I had to nail it, which I probably should have glued it in retrospect, but that's no big deal. You're not really gonna notice those because the majority of the time you're gonna be standing head on looking out the window. But I needed some filler to end those cabinets. And then as far as going around the window, I'm gonna be doing a trim piece up underneath there. And then I'm gonna be doing a trim piece down the side, and then I'll do a trim piece over the top to seam that piece that I put underneath. And then just further down the line, it was just a little bit more sanding, not a ton over here. And then the next thing I'm gonna need to do is put the outlets in. However, the screws that come on it are not long enough to reach the actual hole, so I had to order some of those, and luckily for Amazon, they will be coming today. And then other than that, I just need to caulk underneath here, and then same way around all the way throughout there. And then the kitchen will pretty much be done once the cabinet pulls are put on. And I also need to get a piece of trim up in here with some caulk because that didn't turn out very good. It was such a small area that when I was cutting the tile, it just wasn't working out right. I didn't have a tile saw. I was strictly using a grinder, so it just kept breaking and I was getting annoyed with it. So I decided to just put a piece of trim up in there. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna keep working on this. I am going to start cleaning the cabinets now, and then I'll wipe them down. And cleaning just involves wiping it down to where I just take a wet rag and get all the dust off, and then I'll be good to go over it with the polyurethane, which I'm going to brush on. So it should be a pretty easy process. All right, so I just got that first coat on, and I'm gonna take a break now and eat and let the first one cure, and then I'm gonna hop back in and do one more coat, and might do two. We'll see how everything turns out. I'm not super sure with how it feels after the first coat. Normally you can feel a little bit of a barrier or something to kind of show that it's there, and this just kind of stained it. So what I mean by this is, like, it doesn't feel like there's anything on there. It just feels like it's straight wood. So not entirely sure what I want to do with that. I might consider getting something a little bit thicker that will leave a layer of protection on it, but for now I'm just gonna run with 2 or 3 coats of this and then get the handles on because I'm running out of time today.
All right, so here's how everything turned out, and we have all of the caulk done. We got all the cabinets stained and the hardware on, and we did do that two-tone up top and bottom. And here's a up close look at the caulk. What I did was I taped the granite and then just ran a bead of caulk down it and then pulled the line and then just lifted up the tape, and it was all good to go. I still need to finish off that window there, but you are getting an idea of how the sides of the cabinets finished up high. We got all of the outlet covers on and the outlets put together, and this is the cabinet pull, and it just attaches on the back side by screws.
So we got the kitchen all done, and now I am down in the basement going to start painting, and that way I can get started on this kitchen. So that is my main priority for today, but right now I need to cover up all the lights, all the vents, and all of the outlets and any plumbing that I don't want to get paint on, and also the shower in the basement. So I am just going to be masking it with tape and then pretty much just spraying the primer on the drywall, and I'm gonna have to go back and back roll everything just so everything is nice and even, because that is an issue when you spray. You need it to have something roll over it so that it has a similar consistency the whole way through in case you miss a spot for whatever reason. So I'm gonna try doing that alone for the first time. Here is what we are working with, and it is pretty much just all fresh drywall. So I'm gonna have to cover all those lights with, actually I'm probably not even gonna cover those lights in all honesty, but I am going to have to cover the outlets with tape. And same with this wall, which is going to be the kitchen wall. And then in there's the bathroom. Right now I'm hooked up to the speaker because my phone's about to die, so we can't go in there and look just yet, but I will show that in a little while. All right, so I got all of the outlets all covered up. It's just around the room. See a little bit closer up here. All I did was I just went up to it and taped around the face. Same with that, it's just a quick tape, nothing special. I'm not too worried about it getting on because I already have electrical tape going around the outside of it, and then I have the tape on the outside. So there's basically no paint that is going to be getting on it. And as far as the bathroom goes, I have a pump plugged into there, so I need that to stay plugged in at the moment. I did a quick mask on the light and I'm just letting it hang, and then the tub I plasticed off and just completely masked it completely. So my next step is to get the paint sprayer going, and I have the roller prepped, so as I spray a wall, I am just gonna go back and roll it real quick just to make sure everything's a nice smooth finish. And then I'm hoping this only takes me like 30 minutes to paint, but we'll find out. So here's my paint sprayer. It's been in storage for a little while, so I need to get it all cleaned up and then set to spray. And then there's my roller that is prepped. And then a little tip as far as not getting paint all over your face while you're spraying. Rub petroleum jelly, or I use Aquaphor for my tattoos, so I just put that on my face. All the paint's gonna stick to that, and then if you take a paper towel and just wipe it off, it's gonna come right off. You don't have to do any scrubbing or anything, so it makes it a lot easier. So what I did was I put Aquaphor on my forehead, my nose, and under my eyes. And there's probably a lot of paint on my face right now, can't really see, but I'm just gonna use my shirt and wipe it off. Did it work? I don't know, I'll find out when I watch this video back. All right, so it's been about a year since I last sprayed, so I had some relearning to do, and I definitely had to do a lot of relearning on the first wall. So what I did was I was spraying too heavy, and when I was going to back roll, the roller was just dragging along the paint, so I had to take the paint off of the wall and put it on a wall that I hadn't painted yet, and then from there, I just adjusted how much I was spraying. I was going a little bit faster and a little bit farther away from the wall, and then going back over and rolling it with the roller. Now, as far as the ceiling goes, I did one really heavy coat along the ceiling because I didn't feel like rolling it, and I wanted to see what a flat finish would turn out as. and I think I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I can see some issues with the drywall, but it's just kind of gonna have to be dealt with, and I really could patch it if I wanted to, but I don't, and it's just gonna stay how it is. So I'll give you a quick look here in just a second. So on this wall is where I was having the issues. I sprayed too heavy along this whole area, and then I ended up having to roll and then take it over to this wall, roll that wall to get the paint off of that roller. And then from there, I took just lighter passes as I was going down. I was moving faster, like I said, and then that kind of fixed everything. But as far as the ceiling goes, I just did one really heavy coat, kind of like I was on the first wall. All I was really doing was just basically making it so that I couldn't see the drywall patches underneath, or just all the mud underneath. So like if I point at that wall, you can still see the mud. However, if you look at the ceiling, you can see where it's drying faster because of the mud. However, once it's all dry, it's all going to look pretty cohesive for the most part. And then as far as the bathroom goes, I wanted to experiment and see how completely flat it turned out for all the walls, and just have an orange peel texture. And what that is just the paint, the natural texture that comes from being sprayed with air. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but actually you can probably see it right here pretty good. So that's what they call orange peel, and that's what you look for on cars when you are painting them. You want as minimal orange peel as possible, but in this case, I think some orange peel is fine because it's got some nicks and stuff to hide. Now, this did a pretty good job as far as masking everything, but I really should have just masked this. I didn't for whatever reason, and my sprayer was far enough away so that when I passed it, it just went straight over it. So I'm probably just gonna have to replace that switch, but that's all right. Or realistically, I could just hit it with the landlord special and just leave it how it is, but I'm not like that, so we'll see. So as far as finishing in here goes, I'm gonna paint these walls white. I need to build a box around that, but I need to make it temporary so that you can remove it if you ever need to access that pipe. That's just the waistline going to the septic tank. But yeah, that needs to be blocked in. And then as far as that door goes, it's gonna be painted black after I finish a frame for it, and it's getting new hardware, so I figured I didn't need to really go out of my way to save it from getting hit with primer. So I got a lot of work done in this video, and I think I'm gonna leave it there. And in the next video, we are going to be focusing on actually finishing painting the basement with the white that we're gonna be using. And then we are going to be starting finishing the actual cabinetry and toilet and sink installation. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We've got a lot of tile to do down there too, so that has to happen before anything else. So thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you click that like button down below and hit subscribe to keep up with my projects. But I will catch you in the next one otherwise.